Hello, everybody. Welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having a great day. And without any further ado, let's jump right into it. You know, you've seen it, what's happening in the market, what's happening on the Twitter. No one calls it that, but the energy is definitely there as far as the upcoming halving. It's something that everyone's looking forward to. I was discussing this with a friend, and I think this is the worst part of the halving, is that there's so much buildup and anticipation for it, but the actual event is completely digital, logically. So you kind of expect there to be like fireworks and like celebrations and stuff like that, but nothing ends up happening. It's simply 1 second to the next the halving has taken place. Once again, by far the worst part because of all the energy that ends up building up around it. The news has lightly shifted, and I want to say in the last week or so, surrounding information as to where the market's going to go and things like that. You might remember before we had like a good month-long period where it was just these like very wealthy individuals talking about where Bitcoin's price is going to go and other similar things to that. We've lightly, and I mean lightly, moved over into like a more technical side, and I'm seeing a lot more wealthy people going on to CNBC talking about the actual metrics. And I think it's something that we should have all been paying attention to more from the get-go. That's why between this channel and the other channel, I make sure to always mention how little Bitcoin there actually is, how much Bitcoin is being bought up, how much less Bitcoin there is on the market than the day before. That kind of thing. So in very, very popular news as to the current market trends and where we are, the discussion of less Bitcoin has once again flown back onto the scene. It says recent figures show that over a span of 44 consecutive days back to back, 76,179 Bitcoin worth around $5.4 billion have been moved out of Coinbase and Binance, the two leading cryptocurrency exchanges and custodial firms, by reserve size and total trade volume. What normally happens, is that as prices become bearish or prices go down over the course of a year or two, a lot of people, for whatever reason they might have, begin to liquidate their coins. And the way that they liquidate their coins or try to get rid of them is they put them back onto crypto exchanges, waiting for a price that they deem fit to be actually able to sell off their coins. Once again, everyone has a different life story. The opposite end of that is that when prices are doing well, good, moving up, when people expect them to do gooder, people take their coins off of exchanges. There are a multitude of reasons for this. People might believe that the coins are going to go higher, so they want to hold on to them themselves, maybe not being tempted to sell them on a crypto exchange, therefore they take them off. We've seen before that whale activity normally shows that larger players in the game tend to take their Bitcoin off of exchanges so that there's actually less to go around. And therefore, when there is any type of buying pressure on the market, prices rise quite easily because there's less on the market than there was before. And there's also hundreds of other reasons, but of course, they're a lot smaller. So as we move ever closer to the halving, we're finally in April. It feels like it was moving quickly, but also took forever, if that makes any sense. But this of course happens in life whenever you're anticipating something. I've been waiting for that. Like, you cannot believe how long I've been waiting for this halving, and that we're finally getting a lot closer. It feels like time is still moving very slowly relatively. But as we get closer, a lot of people are taking their coins off of exchanges. And this is now going to start impacting prices a lot heavier. Between the actual interest from the ETFs, the amount of money that's flowing into them. We're still having some days, and I don't know if people are being cynical. I don't know if they really don't know what's going on. There's some days where the ETF inflows, you might have noticed, like as the prices were dropping in the last couple of days, the amount of inflows into these funds, the ETFs, were like over like $114 million. And people were writing like, is this it? Is it over? Is Bitcoin done? Are the ETFs failing? And I'm like, it's still $114 million worth of Bitcoin flowing into funds over. It's still a significantly huge, gigantic amount of money. People put the basis at $500 million per day. No, even if it, I said it before in another video, even if it was just one Bitcoin per day into each of the 9 funds, that's still very significant. People take these numbers as like things that don't really matter anymore. When you hear that they're buying one company is buying 13 times more Bitcoin than is being mined, and when they happen to go a smidge below that, they're still buying more than is mined every single day. That needs to always be pointed out. Because constantly on Twitter and in articles, it's so weird. Everyone gets so nervous and so anxious and so fearful so fast. And I'm like, do you understand that we're still in like a hyper good position when it comes to movements? They're buying more Bitcoin than is being mined each day, even with only $114+ million worth of inflows every single day. And then on top of that, the interest, of course, still remains. The article, I mean, for those of you who are interested in it, it basically just keeps talking about cryptocurrency exchanges and the money basically flowing out of them. I don't know if you really want or need any more than that. It's really fascinating that all it takes is about 2 price dips over the course of a 3-4 week period to kind of get the news to reform itself to just be about actual metrics once again. I'm seeing other articles, I don't have them here, talking about how Bitcoin's still moving trillions of dollars and this is happening. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I get when prices are rising, why people would be more fascinated with prices, but really understand like what's still taking place here. And also for those of you who are unaware, who might be brand new or have simply forgotten over the course of the last couple of years, the reason, and I say this in the most honest way possible, the reason why prices drop or like the drops are so sudden and so dramatic, it's to get you to sell your coins. I know that sounds almost nonsensical if you haven't been here before. Rich people, much like how they control the world, now control the cryptocurrency market. They have expectations of Bitcoin hitting $1 million per coin in the next 5.5 to like 6-7 years. Those aren't fake numbers. Like if you've been here and been watching the news and seeing all these other things, what they've done before and have been doing for a while now that I've been in the market, is they're trying to flush people out so that they can buy coins at a lower price. They know how to move the price around just right. This is why we keep hearing, if you look at other articles, there's constantly a lot of news about liquidations within the market. Shorts and longs being liquidated. It's actually like it bloats the market if there are too much of those, and they know exactly how to move the market to flush people out, to get them to lose their position and to also get you to become scared just enough that you start putting your coins back on exchanges and you sell them. They're doing this on purpose. The point is to get you out. They understand that the halving is very, very close and Bitcoin is going to become rarer than it's ever been. And this will continue to happen every single market cycle that we have until you and your friends and your family are out of the market. Bitcoin is worth over $1 million. And then these people go into CNBC and go, I've known all along how amazing Bitcoin was. They do the same thing for stocks. They do the same exact thing for real estate. Those are other conversations that we may have at some other point, but just know that they're here. They're in the they're in the market. This was a speculation a number of years ago. But yeah, as always, Bitcoin continues to get rarer. The amount of Bitcoin being taken off is, of course, just part of the game. A lot of it is being bought all the time. For those of you who don't follow me on Twitter, I mentioned a couple days ago, I'm buying nonstop. Like, it's almost become like a mini obsession of mine. I'm always buying, but the last couple of like 2 or 3 months, I really like upped it. I don't know what words to really throw inside there. Yeah, I always, as also for those of you who don't know, I'm only buying. I have not sold. I am here for the long term of this market. But yeah, there's less crypto on exchanges, and there will only be less and less and less and less and less as people continue to buy, more people put them on ledgers. You know the story. That's that news. And yeah, let's move on. Also I want to say fairly popular news. For those of you not looking at the screen, it says Binance is ending support for TRC20, the stablecoin USDC, following Circle. So I'm certain a lot of people don't follow stablecoin politics, as it were. The issue is that we have tons of stable coins on the market, and a lot of them, one, aren't being used. Two, we don't need as many stable coins as we have. And three, there was a push a number of years ago to try and air quote decentralize stable coins as much as possible, in that if you have them all running on Ethereum and Ethereum breaks, well, then the entirety of all of your coins are gone. If something happens to a coin and it gets some kind of a label or something happens to it and people stop using that chain, well, guess what? All of your coins are on that chain. So this was a number of years ago, 2-3 years ago, where we began to hear they're issuing these coins on this, or this is happening here, and this coin is going to be put there, in an effort to kind of like, if a chain has a problem, gets into some sort of scrutiny, well, therefore we have our coin, USDC or Tether or otherwise, across multiple different chains. One of the biggest issues that we have right now, and I mentioned this a number of years ago, and it's not hindsight, it's just logic. There are a lot of coins on the market that are absolute garbage. And I, sprinkle that with, magic and love on top of it, because a lot of people tend to get very upset when they've purchased coins that I told them a number of years ago aren't going to do jack diddly squat. And then they see that their coins haven't done anything and they go, or something that sounds similar to that. There's been a lot of realization over the last year, and I'll even squish it down to 6 to 9 months, that a lot of coins and a lot of chains aren't being used. They try to hype them up, but the support, if any, for them continues to dwindle. We've heard over the last year that a lot of other projects have left Tron, aren't using Tron, have moved over to Ethereum, have moved over to Cardano, what have you. But we also have heard as well, in other garbage coin news, the end of support for BSV, Bitcoin Cash Satoshi's Vision. And this was before the entire court case thing took place around a month or so ago. So yeah, Binance is ending support for the Tron-based USDC. Circle has done the exact same thing. It is Circle's coin, but they're becoming more, the word's not exclusive at all, but careful when trying to choose what chains they're putting their stuff on. It's like, it was a bit of a free-for-all years ago, and I think people were literally just throwing darts at a wall in an effort to see kind of like which one stuck. Tron has been garbage from the get-go. You can find my videos from 2018 with me saying the exact same thing. There are a number of and I mean, it just goes based off of metrics. It's literally not magic to go online and see how well Bitcoin is doing based off of the amount of people who are using it, the active wallets, the new wallets per day, how much money's flowing through the system, the outside interest, the news that we get about it, the amount of ETFs, ETNs, ETPs that are associated with Bitcoin. And then you look at a number of other chains, and this goes back to 2018. No one was using it. That's it. That's the entire sentence. No one was using these chains. The majority of the time, all we heard was that this coin is going to do something. Something amazing is going to happen with this coin. This coin is going to do this. Wait for the partnerships. Wait for this to happen. Wait for the next upgrade. And it floundered. No one needed it. Nobody wanted it from the very beginning, but people threw their money into it because it's very easy to, like, I'm going to use the word con here, to con people into thinking that a certain chain is amazing. I told you all years before, these chains are relatively the same. It's more about which one actually gets usage. And when there's no usage from a chain from the get-go, or we keep hearing from developers something's wrong with that chain, with that project, listen to the developers. They're the people who make these things. They understand how they work. If we consistently get news about Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Cardano, and maybe fifth coin that keeps popping up, well, that's because those are the ones that are being used. These things have been checked behind the scenes. Do you think that these billion, trillion dollar companies are just not trying out these chains and they go, any, many, miny, Ethereum? Okay, we're going to use that one. No, they have people trying them out for a year. What are the metrics? Is it being used? Should we put money into this? It's not like, it's literally not magic. It's not just people just guessing. No, they know what these chains are doing and or are not doing. So anyway, Binance has ended support for Tron and their USDC, and more of them are consolidating anyway. As far as like Binance's stablecoin, Circle is giving more support to their stablecoin, and there was another exchange that's also doing the exact same thing. They, what have you. Is this also part of it as well? Yep. Binance ends USDC transactions on the Tron network. We're going to be hearing about this as well for other chains in the future because there aren't that many chains that are popular and or are being used. And I also throw this out there. Please have caution when dealing with these newfound meme coins. If this is your first cycle, I know they seem appealing and awesome and very shiny. There are meme coins every single cycle. There are coins that pop up that no one wants, no one needs. However, you're going to start seeing ads about, buy this coin, 900x, this is going to happen, you're going to be super rich. You're going to start seeing tons of articles, as I've shown in other videos maybe a week or so ago, that show like, this guy put $350 into this random coin. He's a millionaire today. These are scamming you on purpose. That's usually what happens during a bull run, is you are meant to give attention to something that does not need attention. You'll hear these magical stories. You'll throw your money into these coins. The coins will plummet. They're memes for a reason. Anyway, just thought I'd throw that out there because there are a lot of new chains that are going to pop up. People are going to try and prop them up and give them some kind of extra light. No, they're garbage and have always been garbage. That's the Tron news. And yeah, let's move on. And I guess lightly similar news. Coinbase is back in the news, trying to boost up the popularity of their chain that they made about a year or two ago. Similar to Binance's smart chain and what other company has their own kind of thing. Coinbase made Base, take out the coin, it's just called Base Network. And they've been trying to grow the popularity of it for quite some time now. And the way that they've been doing this is basically throwing money at their own chain and or commenting, collaborating with other companies to use their chain so that we can get metrics saying, hey, look how many more people are using it. A lot of the metrics, I don't bring them here because I assume people don't care about Coinbase's Base Network, as it tends to be, or looks from the outside, quite centralized, as Coinbase is the only one managing it. They say in the future that it will be more decentralized, but they don't mean that, and we all know that it's not going to really happen. They're announcing that they're going to start storing user balances of USDC. So that's the Circle coin that we were also just talking about, Circle. But Coinbase basically is Circle. They work with Circle. They created the Circle coin together, though Coinbase tries to separate themselves from it. They're always in the news about it. I don't know if it has to do something with the idea of being a security, as is directly from Coinbase and Circle. Who knows? Who actually cares? They're going to start storing their users' USDC balances on the Base network. And this is done because USDC, the Circle coin, is, I believe, the second most used stablecoin after Tether. And what's a really good way to boost up your metrics is to basically have USDC running on Base and also have the storage of the user's funds on there as well. So as people are using and moving around their USDC coins, we can get new metrics that shows that new people are using Base by them being forced to use Base. You get it? So Coinbase created this network as supposed to be a direct competitor to Binance's smart chain. The only people who have really been using it, or the time we've gotten news about it, is like other companies who you can look online who are already lightly affiliated with Coinbase. It's not that there's anything wrong with it, but a lot of the news a lot of times tends to be like, look how amazing Base is doing. Base is doing absolutely great. Isn't Base doing amazing? And it's like, you're creating this own news and you're creating the word's not hype. It's something more than hype. You're creating the narrative for this chain by basically pushing your own money into it, or other companies who are affiliated with you or who are using a stablecoin that you helped to create to run on this network. So it's not anything organic. It's just more of a stuff that is going to logically happen if you keep throwing money at the actual chain. Yeah, it says going forward on the tweet, Coinbase is going to be storing more corporate and customer USD balances on Base. This enables us to manage and secure customer funds with lower fees and faster settlement times with no impact to the Coinbase user experience. Fantastic. Cool. Wonderful. Coinbase, it's something about that company. I don't know what it is. Maybe we'll get a documentary about them in 10 to 15 years, but something's always lightly off, and I don't know what it is. It always presents as this really squeaky clean company, but I don't know what it is. Something in my mind is, I don't know. Anyway, cool. Coinbase continues to Coinbase. Fantastic. Wonderful. That's the Base news. Let's move on. In actual popular news, I was very shocked that people paid attention to this one. The London Stock Exchange has announced that it will be accepting applications for the admission of Bitcoin crypto exchange traded notes, similar to exchange traded products or exchange traded funds. They're basically all the exact same thing. A note is similar to a fund, and products is like the all-encompassing. So sometimes you will see them mixed and matched word-wise. They do have differences, but an ETN, for all intensive purposes, is basically what we would consider an ETF. Applications for Bitcoin ETNs within the London Stock Exchange starting on the 8th of April. This decision follows the exchange's earlier notice on the 11th of March, indicating their intention to allow the trading of crypto ETNs in the second quarter of this year. This follows closely to the news that we got about a week ago from the Hong Kong Stock Exchange, who announced that they're also now accepting applications for Bitcoin ETFs within their country. There's a lot of, how do I say this? A lot of the news ends up being more hype than technicals, which I would love a little bit more technicals. I haven't seen, maybe it's in this article, I haven't seen exact information if these are going to be new ETFs or if this is the allowance of US, Canadian, Australian ETFs for Bitcoin and Ethereum to be traded on this stock exchange. Get what I'm saying? Are these new ETFs that are being made specifically within England, or geez Louise, English, or is this a allowment of the already created ETFs around the world to be traded within the London Stock Exchange? That's kind of what I'm saying. So, what are the applications for, if you will? Subject to approval by the Financial Conduct Authority of the Base Prospectus. Okay. The exchange plans to commence trading of these ETNs on Tuesday, the 28th of May, 2024. This move is aimed at ensuring maximum issuer participation of the first trading day and allowing issuers sufficient times to prepare their documentation and meet regulatory requirements. They said, and I quote, "We have decided to launch the market in crypto ETNs on the 28th of May 2024 to enable the maximum number of issuers to be present in the market on the first day of trading. In choosing this date, we have taken into consideration that we need to ensure that issuers meet the requirements for consideration detailed in the crypto ETN fact sheet. And importantly, it will also enable those issuers planning on admitting securities on the launch date to prepare documentation to establish a crypto ETN program, which will require a base prospectus to be approved by the SEA." Tell me you like to use words without, like, I feel like that all could have been put into one sentence. We're giving people more time so that they can apply. What was the point of this entire paragraph, basically saying the exact same thing in slightly different ways every single time? So, very popular news. Once again, do not know if this is already existing ETFs. I feel like it is. I feel like it's maybe both ways. If any other companies within the UK are also trying to launch theirs from the get-go, they'll be able to do so. But I have a feeling this is also the other ones as well. But there have been a couple of countries, if you've been following the news, there have been a couple of countries who've been quite adamant at not actually having the US-based ETFs within their borders. And they're getting companies within their borders, their land, to actually begin to create them and to apply for these things. I assume they probably just don't want any additional BlackRock influence, if we can be completely honest. It's similar to how years ago, a number of countries had a really big problem with Kraken, Binance, and Coinbase setting up shop there. And then I realized very quickly it has to do with fees. If Coinbase, Kraken, Gemini, and Binance are working in your country, what they're basically getting all of the fees as people are using the platform. So a lot of other countries began to make their, like literally like a country, began to make their own crypto exchanges. And it's like, because every time that there's a fee, they also get a little slice of that pie as well. So fantastic. Let's see exactly where this ends up going. I feel like, not that May is too far away, or the 28th of May. It's more like you could have started this sometime in February, so then actually had it by the time of the halving. But I mean, the market will be ripping and roaring anyway by that time. So I guess it's just a matter of the news that we actually get from there and how much money is then being pushed into the market from there. Simply because similar to the BlackRock Fidelity situation, we will begin to get news as to how much money is actually flowing into these ETFs as well. But cool. Tying also, I mean, is basically the same exact news story. One of the heads of Kraken, really weird, the timing right, came forward to announce his support for ETFs within the United Kingdom. And I was like, okay. Kraken UK Managing Director Bivu Das, BIVU has emphasized the importance of introducing Bitcoin exchange-traded funds to the United Kingdom, citing shifts in the global financial landscape and the need for increased access to crypto investment products. In an interview at the Digital Assets Summit in London, Das highlighted the evolution of regulatory concerns since the UK's restriction on such products in 2021, suggesting the current environment may be more conducive to ETFs. It's just money. It's just money behind the scenes. Who's going to get their money and who's getting it when? I used to assume when I was younger that there was actually like a switch that flipped in people's minds where they were like, the world needs this thing now. We can now allow them to have this. It's all just money. These politicians and all these people are just waiting for their cut. It's just the way that the world is. I have a friend. I don't think he watches. If he does, hello, buddy. But I've noticed that a lot of people, and I say this in a very nice way, don't live in the real world. The idea is that, I mean, similar to how I thought. So I'll put it that way. Where you just kind of assume 2021, the world wasn't ready. But 2024, now the world is ready. And it's like, no, someone behind the scenes was just making sure that everyone had to wait. They didn't get their slice of the pie, or they've been accumulating Bitcoin long enough that they're now, okay, now we can have these within the UK. So yeah, the global as it says on the screen, the global financial landscape, I think, has really shifted. If you have been watching any of the interviews with Larry Fink or other people with now officially within the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency space, you can tell exactly like what they're going for. It's this kind of, for those of you who missed the couple of Larry Fink interviews, there were a lot of articles floating around about it as well. And the articles were saying stuff like, it's nice to see that Larry Fink has now understood the power of Bitcoin. Now the world can move forward with Bitcoin. And it's like, do you think Larry Fink, one of the richest people on this planet, has just now come to realize how much money he's going to make off of Bitcoin? Do you think on a Wednesday he was like, ETF, we got to have an ETF because I've been dreaming about this for 12 years? No, they've known for a very long time. All the accumulation that we've been seeing from these whales and stuff like that, it's been coming from them. But the actual shift now is kind of permeating a lot more than it was before. I'm sure you're seeing it. I'm sure your friends are seeing it. I'm sure you're getting the texts that I told you would be getting months ago of people who are asking you about the market, getting into the market, buying some Bitcoin and other things like that, because all the rumblings are there, but this time is very, very different. This time is going to cause like a seismic shift in how people actually view Bitcoin because now it's been hyper legitimized. The amount of news I've been seeing about gold reeks of desperation. It is one of the craziest things in the entire world. I don't know if you've also been seeing it as well. So much gold news in the last couple of weeks, literally talking about gold has a new all-time high. Gold is doing this. I saw an article, remember 2 or 3 weeks ago, where Bitcoin went down for like 2 days in price and it dipped and then it was gone because all those coins were bought up. The news articles that kept on popping up everywhere I was looking was like, gold has outperformed Bitcoin. What is Bitcoin supposed to do now? Like kind of insinuating, well, Bitcoin's done for. It fell by 5% while gold hit a new brand all-time high. And I'm like, have you seen the chart? How are you all still so delusional? Why is it so difficult for you to simply just understand and like really say out loud, Bitcoin has defeated gold? You know, Bitcoin is now, one Bitcoin is now worth as much as 1 kilo of gold. 1 Bitcoin is 1 kilo of gold. And Bitcoin is not done. The bull run's just getting started. The halving at the time of me making this video still has not happened. I don't understand why it's so difficult not even admitting that you're wrong. Just join the side that's making money. Gold is not going to outperform Bitcoin ever. It's literally mathematically impossible. If Bitcoin fell down to $5, it would still have outperformed gold. On that chart that we've all been looking at before, if you had to put $1 into Bitcoin and $1 into gold, how gold would be, what was it, $1.94. I'm sure maybe it's a little bit higher now. Congratulations. Bitcoin is I think hundreds of millions of dollars comparatively from that $1 that was put in. That calculates Bitcoin from the moment it was created when its value was 0.00001 cent. If it fell down to $5, it would still have outperformed gold. And Bitcoin's never going down to $5. I'm not sure who needs to know that in any sort of way. The shift that we're seeing, and you must have seen it. You must have seen it by now. That video of $1 million listing. Everyone's reposting it. Where Ryan Serhant got offered 50,000 Bitcoin for an apartment, and the person who was selling the flat said no. That Bitcoin's now worth, like, was it $3.7 billion or something like that? We're seeing these movements. Me and my friends are also having these conversations. Where I'm really big into real estate. I love real estate. But gosh darn it, me and my friends have sat there on multiple occasions and we're talking about, and I say this in the most first world way possible. We're talking about not buying as many properties simply because we're like, if we keep it in crypto, we don't have to find a tenant for our crypto. We know that coins are going to outperform the real estate market as they've been doing. I told you that $1 million listing thing, for those of you who don't know the numbers, I said it in another video, but I get people don't watch every single video. The math is the 50,000 Bitcoin that person got offered for that flat. Bitcoin compared to the value of that apartment right now has lost 99.8% of its value compared to Bitcoin. It's worth 25 million compared to the 3.7 billion that amount of Bitcoin is worth. My friend, we were sitting in a cafe. For those of you who don't know, it's all I basically do. I sit in cafes and have cake and tea. I'm right. We were discussing the actual movements and the idea of the Veblen effect of Bitcoin and Bitcoin being worth more than $250,000. And he was like, that which is one of the price predictions for 2025, 250K per Bitcoin. And he was like, I'm thinking of buying new property, but then he was like, I'm thinking of just setting some money aside and like getting Bitcoin, because like, what if Bitcoin ends up being worth more than a property that I was going to buy? And then he was like, now go to 2028, 2029. And he's like, what if that Bitcoin's worth $500,000? He's like, the property that I buy, no matter how much money I put into it renovating it, isn't going to go up to $500,000 in 4 to 5 years. And he was like, what if we get to $1 million Bitcoin? He's like, I haven't had to look for a tenant. The valuation of that property compared to that to the Bitcoin has only gone down and will continue to go down as Bitcoin gets more and more rare. And I was like, you understand what a mental shift that is for someone? Someone who's been buying up tons of property, buying up tons of real estate, to sit there and go, maybe I'm not going to buy an apartment. Maybe I'm not going to buy a house to rent out. Maybe it's too much of a hassle. Maybe me just putting money into Bitcoin and leaving it on Coinbase or on a ledger, and it outperforms it. These companies who we've heard who are selling off their gold ETFs to buy Bitcoin ETFs or to simply buy and hold Bitcoin. That's a huge shift. That's a dramatic shift in any market. Remember the company we were talking about, what have you if this ends up happening, but that gold company in Latin America who's thinking of buying over $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. The industry that they're in is gold. Gold, according to gold bugs, is meant to overtake Bitcoin, completely outperform it. Someone sat there and said, we need to push $1 billion into Bitcoin. Do you understand what kind of a shift that is for any market? Especially for something, there's only ever going to be 21 million Bitcoin. Anywhere from 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 million, depending on which metric you look at, are lost and gone forever. All the Bitcoin on crypto exchanges isn't liquid. It's so insane what's happening right now. It's really freaking fascinating. I have a consistent level of what you would call FOMO for this market. Because I constantly, this is me. I constantly hindsight, and I don't know why I do it. Maybe every investor does it. Tell me if you do, because I would love to know I'm not the only one. I sit there sometimes and I think, I had a chance to buy this at this amount. I do it with real estate and also with crypto. But with crypto, I sit there and I'm like, this market's only been around for 15 years. We have so much further to go. If this is the first 15 years now, what are the next 15 years going to be like? And I sit there and I'm like, I collect a lot of stuff. I love collecting comics. I cannot stress how much I love comic books. And I love collecting art. Love it. Love all capital letters. And this year and also a portion of last year, I've foregone collecting comic books and art. And I've just been buying crypto. It's like almost like obsessively, because I sit there and I look at the numbers compared to where we were last year, and Bitcoin basically doubling and almost tripling in value in a year's time. And I'm like, as much as I love the art hasn't doubled and tripled in that amount of time. There's no piece of art that relative, that I've bought or could buy right now that is probably going to 5 or 6x in price by summer 2025. It's this really, yes. Yeah. Anyway, got a lot of bit off course there, but it looks like The London Stock Exchange is going to have ETFs and ETNs, I guess, in about a good 7-8 weeks' time. It sounds a bit shorter when you say it in like a weekly time frame, but we'll see as the halving has happened exactly how much money is flowing into those funds, the amount of interest, because it's going to be there. I am, again, very excited for this halving simply because I'm ready for people to experience it and to really like understand, because you need to be in the halving to really understand how much rarer Bitcoin has actually become, because a lot of people just kind of float around pretending like it's not a thing. Yeah, I think that's really going to do it for this video. I do hope that you have all enjoyed. I do hope you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See